Welcome to Meandmygolf TV. You've joined us on our Take Charge tour here at Oceanside at the Titleist Performance Institute.
And today we're very lucky to be speaking to the co-founder of TPI, Dave Phillips. He's going to be talking through everything the facility offers. Let's take charge of your game. Okay, so Andy's hit some shots. We're in the analysis room. So, Dave, what have we got? Is he any good?
You know, he is very good. He's got
don't say things like that to me.
You know, he's got a lot of good things going on. I mean, obviously, we looked at your screen, and there's some issues with your hips. There's a couple other little things as well. And, you know, the hips, to me, are extremely important in the golf swing. And for the people at home, you know, the hip girdle, it's really the way the power transfers through your legs into your torso, into the club, and so on. And here at TPI, we use a lot of 3D and analysis to determine how that wave of energy kind of travels through your body. But in just looking at your 2D, your swing is a good golf swing. Now, what I would look at is, I'm now going to focus a little bit more on the hips when we look at this video, primarily because of how they work. And what we noticed with you is your lead hip is a little bit limited, how you turn into your lead hip. Trail hip's pretty good. So that can show up a little bit in your golf swing, and let's take a little look.
So it's going to be amazing, isn't it? We're going to see the dysfunction in the hips is actually going to portray itself on this screen here.
It is, and that's what's so important, you know, for your viewers at home, is that it's important to understand what you can do physically, because you could be hitting golf ball after golf ball and trying really hard to change your golf swing. Your golf pro could be telling you the right thing, but you just can't physically do it. And it's very important, because if you start working on something and you're trying to change it, you'll get frustrated because you can't physically do it. So then it gives you an excuse. You can either work on your body, or we can just teach around it. You got a great swing no matter what. You can still hit the golf ball. We just need to make you aware of what your body's doing. So now we can go, okay, well, if we want to change this, and if we do change this, that could help you hit a different shot or stop your miss. Or we can not change anything, but just change the club face slightly and change that miss as well. So there's two ways to look at it.
Okay, so let's have a look at this.
So let's take a look. We got you with an iron up here. And I mean, obviously, you know, as we run you through your swing, I've drawn a couple of lines. This line is kind of up the outside of the leg from the ankle to the hip. And this is a straight vertical line. So usually when we look at a golf swing, as I take you through your golf swing here, you know, you've got a nice move away from the golf ball. As you turn to the top of your backswing, you'll start to see your hip kind of reverses a little bit. And what I mean by that is this hip right here, which is the good one, by the way, this turns, and as it rotates, you kind of fall back into this side. This is not the good hip. So what we'd ultimately like to see is you stay on that line a little bit. But hell, there's still a lot of great players that come off that line. So it could be a preference thing as well. It could be a swing style thing. But this is what generally happens when we have a lead hip issue. So as we start the downswing, you're going to get onto your lead side a little earlier than most, because you're kind of already there. You don't load into your trail hip as well as you could. But once you get over there, it's kind of difficult for you to clear. Now, someone that kind of turns into their lead hip on their backswing would be like a Hunter Mahan. And Hunter clears exceptionally well. So when you watch him through impact, he rotates those hips and clears beautifully. Now, as you go through yours here, you get onto your lead side nicely, you hold the angles beautifully, and this is generally a very good golf swing. But you're going to get to a point here where you don't really keep turning. You'll see your hips kind of stop. And what happens now is there's almost a little buckle. You'll see the hip kind of dive there through, and the knee kicks in to turn you. So a lot of times when we see a lot of leg action or knee action, and especially here in the lead knee and this knee, that's because the hip isn't functioning properly. So your brain goes, okay, let me get this straight. You want to turn into your lead hip, but you can't because there's something not working well. So let's just use the knee. Or let's just use something else to do it.
And that's interesting. You talk about is mobile, stable. Obviously the hip is very mobile, the knee is stable.
That's right.
And when you ask a stable joint to do something which is more a mobile based move, that's injury time, isn't it?
It is. So now, you know, what happens there is that, you know, the body works in this alternating pattern of the stable segments connected to mobile joints. So your foot needs to be stable, ankle mobile, knee stable, hip mobile, lower back stable, mid back mobile. there's this pattern that goes right through your body. If one of those areas isn't working that good, which is that lead hip on you, then I might see a little bit more lead knee action. I might see the trail knee kick in a little bit more. You're getting some rotation from the knees. So the brain goes, okay, I know what you're trying to do. We can't do it the normal way. Let's use something else. And that's when injury can occur. And that's what you see even in the case of someone like Tiger Woods. I mean, here's a guy that's gone through multiple knee surgeries. He's had lower back surgery. And now you're starting to see some issues with his golf swing changes.
Yeah, of course.
So his golf swing could change primarily because he can't function the way he used to. So he starts, the body looks for the least path of resistance. He starts to go that way, and all of a sudden his swing gets a little flat. Things aren't working right. He's trying, he's hitting the balls, but he's not getting the results. It's really physical. And what Tiger needs more than anything is to get that body back in shape, and I think he'll be back in the winner's circle.
Yeah, definitely. So things can evolve around that, can't they? So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
So in your case, I still think you've got a great golf swing, a good iron swing. What I'm more concerned with is if we move on to something like the driver. So when we get to the driver, when you have an iron swing, we always want to compress the ball and get on that lead side, which you do quite well. The problem is when we get more up to the bigger club here. So when we get to a driver, now this might show up a little bit more in that lead side. So as we go back, I'm going to draw the same line here from your ankle outside your leg. We'll draw another vertical line straight up here. So there's your vertical line right there. And so as I go back here, let's take a look. So we get to the top of the backswing. Your stance is a little wider. Not bad. You kind of hold into that trail hip a little bit better. Now as we drive our hips over, you start to get on this side. Still pretty good here with the lower body motion. But watch as we come through impact here. You'll see this almost little buckle. See that drop of the legs and the knees? That's because you've put stress on that lead hip. That lead hip is going, I can't go anymore. So what happens is the fail-safe is the knees drop. We get that little kick in. Now the beauty is the ball's already gone, so it doesn't know. My issue is injury. So, down the road, if I'm using something like my lead knee, I could stress the meniscus in that knee. The outside part of that knee could be put under strain. And we always want to address that long term, In terms of driving the golf ball, with the driver, you can get away with a few things because the club's longer. But again, if I'm trying to get into that side and this isn't letting me, I might start to hang back. So you might see a block to the right or the odd hook creep into your game.
Which is what definitely happens, isn't it? It definitely happens. And we always talk, and you do talk, Andy, about the amount of rotation you get at impact and through impact. And I think you don't get enough of that. And you can see when we did the screen earlier, there was a block going to the left, obviously. So it all portrays into this golf swing. And that's the beauty of these screens. That's what it does. That's
it
gives you some info.
You're absolutely right. And it's just, not everybody's going to, I don't expect everybody to go to the gym and work out. That's not what we expect. What I expect you to do is, if you're passionate about golf, which your viewers are, and they want to get better at their game, I'm just saying it'd be good to know what you're physically capable of doing. Because the last thing I want you to do is go work on your golf swing and get hurt, because now you're not playing the game you love, okay? And if you're trying to get better but you've been struggling, but you believe in your teacher and you like what he's saying, it might not be him. He might be telling you the right thing to do. You just can't physically do it.
Absolutely.
And that's where finding like a MyTPI expert, someone that can physically evaluate you, put you through a few tests and go, hey, take this information to your teacher, and just show him, because you're going to struggle doing this if this is what you're trying to do.
I remember when we first saw you 8 years ago, there was a sudden realization of walking out. We spoke about it, and you understand that, well, player A and player B had the same fault. Player A was fixed.
That's right.
Player B wasn't, and we were doing the same things to them, but why can't that happen?
You're absolutely right. And this brings up another important point, is that just because you take an ailment away, say we fix your hip, doesn't mean your swing's going to change. You've got this software program in your brain that's been running that for so long that I've just given you the ability to change it. Now this is where the golf instructor comes in, because once you can now move better, now we can make a change. So now it might work, but you still need to be told what to do.
So getting rid of the limitation is not enough to get rid of the swing fault. As you said, you need to get rid of the limitation and then train it.
So the first thing would be your correctional exercises, and then link that in with the swing drills or the movement pattern training, if you like, to then make this puzzle sort of fit together again.
Absolutely, and you know, again, the exercises can be very simple. It can be things that you can do at home while you're watching a football game, or you know, while you're watching television. I mean, just getting up out of a chair and firing the glute will take the stress off the hip.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of things in this lower body mechanism that have to work. We know the glutes are the king in the golf swing. If they're not firing, then that can cause hip issues and it can cause lower back issues. So I'm going to be very concerned about your glute, and I'm going to look at whether the glute is really firing and you can activate your glute, because if it's not, that could be the reason why your hip is so tight.
Okay, so it sounds like we need to get into these corrections then.
Yes,
We
I
do.
think so. So
Okay,
if we have a look and see if we can, you know, fix this, please, and then, you know.
We've got a rack or something, we can
Yeah,
stretch them
we-
out.
we might need
Attach
that.
it. I'll
We might
pull
need
the
that
winch
for
on that,
sure.
no problem, no
You're
problem. Okay, so yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. Obviously, what we're going to do now is we're going to find out how we're going to get those hips moving better. Stay tuned.